Guys, if you were to take a gander at the world, we live in 2022, and go in a time machine to 1950. I'm certain the world you would see is night and day, and as of late this question has been at the forefront of my thoughts for a seriously prolonged stretch of time. For what reason don't men approach ladies any longer? These days, if you head outside, you don't see it occurring as much as during the 1950s, when you literally had no option except a cold approach. I know a considerable lot of you guys will not recall this. However, sometime in the distant past, there was no mobile phone, no web, no social media, nothing like what we see today. Once upon a time, you needed to truly move toward a lady to get her or go directly to her dad, the church, and dwell a nearby distance, like in comparative communities. It wasn't like now, where you could simply sit in your home scratching your balls, jump on a dating site, and meet ladies. No sir, it took genuine work in those days to get a lady, and ladies didn't have limitless choices and reach to men all around the world like what we have in present-day times. She only had the local guys to pick from, or the one person who was venturing out to her unassuming community, and she met him and afterward experienced passionate feelings for. So it was less complex times in those days, and more men would go up and move toward a lady, for the most part due to the absence of communication. He was unable to guarantee that he could ever see her again. So on the off chance that he didn't go all in, he might actually pass up his future spouse. Isn't that excessively insane? If we look at present times, we don't need to do any of that. Nearly everyone is connected and is all the more effectively available. Yet individuals are more separated than ever before, to the place where individuals scarcely address others physically. Likewise, men are done approaching ladies, and I think it merits beginning a conversation to see where everything went left and what this might actually mean going forward. So for what reason aren't men approaching ladies any longer? Well, one thing you need to comprehend about men is that prior to making a choice, we need to survey the risk in question and take a gander at the outcome of pursuing that choice. And to demonstrate this, look at how men approach marriage. Most men are looking at the gamble versus rewards of committing to that responsibility, and what they stand to lose assuming the marriage ends in separation. Exactly the same thing applies to approaching ladies. Ladies have made the interaction so hazardous and unrewarding that men just concluded that the juice does not merit the press any longer. Most importantly, men previously dreaded dismissal and embarrassment from ladies. So for a man to risk getting turned down, being ridiculed, or named a wet blanket, and still approaches implies he thinks the result is worth the effort. In any case, when we live in a society where ladies view the typical men that they don't need as hunters, creeps, sexual assaulters, and attackers, how could men want to approach a lady? In the event that the average man was to approach an average lady consciously to begin a conversation, he would get embarrassed by that lady as a rule. I've seen recordings of a person attempting to converse with a lady without being rude or appearing to be dreadful, and she directly up embarrasses the guy. The lady recorded the incident while turning the story that he was a killjoy and uploaded it to social media for chuckles and attention, and I'm here taking a gander at that video and going, why in the world could I need to approach a lady nowadays? To comprehend the reason why this is occurring, we need to comprehend that various men seek different treatment from ladies. I know you may be lost on that one, so I will make sense of for you what this implies. I want you guys to think about status and how seen value makes people treat people differently. Look back at times in your own life when you were drawn nearer by somebody who was beseeching you for cash, or a filthy person who was dirty. Quickly you went on edge to not converse with the individual or give them anything. The same applies to ladies, however it's far more regrettable these days than in the earlier 100 years. Ladies normally must be extra cautious out in the world, since they could be taken by a man contrary to their desire at any moment. So as may be obvious, by the day's end, everything reduces to a man's status and seen value in light of what he looks like, how he talks and approaches the lady. See, we need to consider that, as I said before, a lady will treat various men differently based on how she sees that man, and on the off chance that she sees the man as worse than her, then she will deal with him like trash or less than. On the flip coin, assuming she sees another man as superior to her, she will approach that man with deference and be more open to him. Take a gander at the interaction between a lady and her supervisor versus the janitor. I want you to think about who wouldn't get affronted if they somehow happen to approach her. So I say all this for you to comprehend that the modern lady no longer respects men, and I believe that most men have gotten onto that and chose to quit conversing with these ladies. Men have perceived how ladies treat different men who appear to be like them versus the high-worth men, and men are choosing to leave altogether. Men have understood that ladies' perspectives towards them are just deteriorating and more regrettable, and they are done going for that slashedness. Men are seeing that at whatever point they approach ladies, it's a negative encounter that they risk their standing and possibly freedom. Men are saying, to hell with that, I'll be in a better situation not approaching ladies. I can't tell whether you guys realize that men have had the police called on them since they approached a lady who didn't like them. So why in the world could men gamble all of that and receive literally nothing consequently except slash most times? What's more, this is where we are today when men need to survey the dangers of approaching a lady and arrive at the understanding that it's too dangerous and the juice does not merit the crush. At the point before the 90s, ladies were not this mixed up only for a man needing to converse with them. It's insane, which is the reason I don't approach XX any longer. So men don't move toward these kinds of ladies, and when you take a look at the fact of telling a lady no that she should smile, society sees that as you being a misogynist and a woman hater. Then, all that then. If a man being honest in what he wants in society doesn't give a F and disparages that man, why in the world could he take part in risk being scorned and marred? So men have chosen to leave and simply not approach ladies. Consider it from this point. If you see a guy who looks angry all the time, like at any second he can pop off and get rough, could you proceed to attempt to begin a conversation with that person? Likely not. Exactly the same thing applies to ladies out in the open and confidential settings.